Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mainstream Indie Music channel, where we talk about all things indie music. And as I say in many videos, this is a long time coming. I feel like I fell behind a lot with picking different indie bands, music, and songs. And this one was really one that I had been thinking about for a while. However, this one I had to give a lot of special thought to because I had to ask myself a lot, is this guy really indie music? And in 2 weeks, I'm going to be giving a kind of a catch-up video. I didn't really do one yet for the second year that we've been a channel. So I wanted to talk about that. But one of the subjects I'm going to talk about is the definition of indie music and what really constitutes it. Now, don't get me wrong, this channel I have received so much love and support for. In fact, I would even venture to say I have never really received a hateful comment or a mean comment. Maybe one or two, but I'm so busy, working 3 jobs. I don't really have the time for that anyway. And really, that video I hope to get a lot of clarity for. Some people don't care, they're like, hey, this is just a band or a song that I like. I don't care if it is or not. I just want to hear your opinion about it, and I appreciate that very much. But I also, in the same vein, want to stick truthful to the name of our channel. I don't want to just start talking about pop music and starting to skew it into the favor here. So with that being said, Vance Joy's song Riptide, would that be considered indie? And it's kind of like if you saw my video on the 1975, I think that's what kind of clarifies why I put this song on this channel. Because, to give you a point blank answer, no, I do not think this song is indie. I remember this song coming out, and it was everywhere. Because it was so radio friendly, not only could you kind of play it on the popular music of the day, where maybe, it didn't really have to be such a clean song, it's just a popular one, but it could be played on kind of like a radio friendly channel. It could be played on kind of like an oldie channel, and then they spun it in a way of like, well, if you want to listen to today's popular music, here's a song to check out. If you listen to the alternative indie channel, it would appear on that channel as well. Because, again, we would try to spin it as, well, he was indie, he was kind of on his own touring, and he didn't expect this to become a huge hit, but here he is at the same time. So who am I talking about here before we kind of go on to the main part of the video about the song Riptide? Well, this is Vance Joy. His name is James. And he is not American, even though if you listen to Riptide, he really sounds American, but he is not. He is Australian. I've heard a few songs or a few videos of his where he's talking, and definitely the accent comes out. And what's kind of interesting is not only did, of course, he not expect Riptide to become big, but he did not really come into adulthood expecting to be a musician at all. Why I say that is because, well, number one, he went to college and he graduated with a few bachelor's degrees. One of them was with art, but it wasn't really specific to music. And the other one was, I believe, either in business or in finance. So already, you kind of see a person who's not really dedicating their entire life to music, as we've seen in some of these other artists where it's pretty much they gave everything away just to focus on music. Number two, during and after college, he was a rugby player, and a pretty good one at that. He wasn't a huge star, but he made several Australian teams. And what kind of dismayed him away from rugby is he states that he thought he was extremely good. He's like, hey, my whole life I was good. Elementary school, middle school, high school, he was like top of the class. Everyone's picking him to be the best athlete. And when he gets on a professional team for the first time in his life, he's kind of surrounded by people that are just as good as him, and he's pretty much designated to the bench his entire professional experience. So he walked away from it, and he was pretty much done. Didn't have a lot of bad feelings towards it. It's just kind of, he realized, like, hey, you know what? I'm just not as good as I think I am. And so right during that time, I would say near the end of his playing days, he started to focus on music. You know, he was looking for something to do, and kind of probably looking for a creative outlet, facing the frustrations of not making it so much in rugby. And so he started to write his first couple of songs. Like I said, he did have somewhat of a musical background. He went to college for arts, and Riptide was actually one of the very first songs that he had written. I don't think it's the very first one, but it's one of the very first songs that he wrote. Now, what happened was he wrote Riptide a while back, and it was kind of shelved. And so what he was doing was, near the end of his playing days, like I said, he had started to do open mics around his city, and he was gaining momentum. You know, people are like, hey, this guy's pretty good, and he's getting a lot of requests to play, and he was putting music on several different platforms, and because of that, he revisited his song Riptide, which he wrote about based off of a hotel that he used to stay at on vacation, him and his family, that is. And a lot of people resonated with the song, and still do to this day, because of there's a lot of like pop culture references hidden amongst the lyrics. There's a lot of kind of that like innocent love story where you can kind of like insert yourself into the song. And people really resonated with it. It was picked up right away in the Australian radio, and it was featured on, I believe it was a GoPro commercial in the United States, which really brought the most attention to it. It skyrocketed here in the United States, and really he hasn't looked back since. Now, during that era of time, which is I almost guarantee you is going to be a future video I'm going to make, I believe also Riptide was such a big hit because there were other bands at the time, think of like Of Monsters of Men, Passenger, and Leon Bridges, so on and so forth, where there was kind of this like campy, what's being called now the stomp clap era of music, where it was kind of a stripped down song, guitar on piano, and there was kind of just like a stomp beat behind it with kind of like happy-go-lucky lyrics. I don't know. Maybe that's what helped its success. I want to hear from y'all, though. What do you guys think about Riptide? No doubt you've heard of it, and I'll see y'all next time.